हाय एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक ऑन दिस यूट्यूब चैनल तरंग एकेडमी होम्योपैथी। सो आज इस वीडियो के अंदर हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं नक्स-वोमिका मेडिसिन बाय द बुक ऑटोबायोग्राफीज ऑफ द पॉलीक्रस्ट। इसके थ्रू बहुत इजी हो जाता है मेडिसिन को समझना, उसका एसेंस समझना। उसके बाद आप बुक से ईजिली इसको पढ़ सकते हैं। सो मैं स्टार्ट करती हूँ। आई एम वेरी एम्बिशियस एंड इम्पेशेंट पर्सन. I always wants to be first, the best, and for me there is no limitation to it. But if any obstruction comes between me and my ambition, or if limitations occur, I get extremely angry and frustrated. I am an intelligent and capable person, and my intelligence is completely practical rather than philosophical or mental. Day and night, I am occupied by my ambition, and my whole effort is centered toward competition and achievement. I become competitive to the point of damaging my own health and even at the एक्सपेंस ऑफ माई कलीग्स. मतलब ये इतना ज़्यादा इसके अंदर कंपटीशन है कि इसकी चाहे हेल्थ ख़राब हो जाए, चाहे इसके कलीग्स को कोई प्रॉब्लम हो जाए, इसको कोई फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. इसको अपना काम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. बिकॉज आई एम एक्सट्रीमली एम्बिशियस पर्सन, आई हैज़ डेफिनेट प्लानिंग एंड टाइम schedule for everything, and I always has many things to do at time. I am fastidious also, therefore I want everything in the proper place and all works to be done quickly. तो ये fastidious है for his work. If any interference occur to my definite time schedule, I get extremely irritated and angry, which is mostly expressed verbally, but it could finally turns to the violent anger. I'm a kind of a person who is capable of murder out of anger for trifles. I'm kind of a person who is very difficult to live with because I get irritated or start shouting and abusing on very small matters. छोटी छोटी बातों पे ये person abuse करना start कर देता है, गुस्सा बहुत करता है. For example, even gets very angry in a traffic jam. Whenever I get angry, I usually start trembling and shout at people. Although I am very ethical person in the beginning, conscientious about everything and has a sense of duty, but being an ambitious person, I take too much work in hand, because of which no definite daily routines remains, and in order to cope up with excess workload, I have to resort to stimulants like coffee, alcohol, cigarettes. I also indulge myself too much in sex. After all this, I cannot control myself anymore, and I start producing symptoms which I already had described above. Okay, I has a definite idea in mind that any problem can be overcome by sheer effort and ability. To accept the limitation is something very difficult to me. तो नेक्स्ट ओमेगा के पेशेंट्स को लिमिटेशंस कुछ भी समझ नहीं आती हैं. Excessive indulgence in stimulants affects my nervous system very badly, and I become hypersensitive, so that I cannot even tolerate little stress like light, slight noise, and somebody singing. If anybody offends me, I easily lose control over my anger, but after getting angry, the feeling of it goes off as quickly as it comes. तो जितना जल्दी गुस्सा आता है उतनी ही जल्दी चला जाता है. Due to this angry nature, I very easily strikes other, and to avoid this, I have to keep myself in control continuously. It also happens that whether I am seem cool on surface, but internally I were irritated, because mostly my irritation is internal. But in the end, due to increasing pressure, I become extremely impatient and my irritation starts manifesting. My impatience is due to myself, but especially it manifests due to others, and that is why I scold and shout on trifling matters. To achieve my ambition, I can go to any extent, even I adapt hypocrisy. I cannot tolerate contradiction. The intolerance is not due to arrogance, but because I was certain that I am right and others have not gone through the problem as through as I am. मोस्ट ऑफनली आई वर राइट. तो उसके हिसाब से उसे कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन इसलिए बर्दाश्त नहीं होती क्योंकि जो उसने झेला है वो किसी दूसरे ने नहीं देखा है. आई एम ऑब्स्टिनेट ऑल्सो, एंड आई एम ऑल्सो अगेंस्ट एनी विश और आइडिया, बिकॉज आई वॉन्ट्स माई विश एंड आइडिया टू बी in the top. In fact, it is more a matter of power. The stubborns, I cannot tolerate interpretation and anything against my will. तो उसको किसी भी चीज़ में इंटरप्शन पसंद नहीं है. I always aims at efficacy. I want my idea on the top, but when I were working with superiors and see somebody at right is right, I admit it. I can be submissive at my work, but at home I am brutal and dictatorial. Normally, you can never find me indolent, but after excess of work, intoxication, and sex, a stage comes when I lost my interest for work or not for everything. In this stage, I want to be quiet and alone. Don't want to meet anybody, but at this stage, a peculiar feeling start arousing in my mind that everybody is against me. As my pathology progress, I becomes more and more malicious, cruel, and violent in expression, like kicking animals, beating children, and wife. In the end of condition turns in kind of insanity, in which I were continuously tormented by the thoughts or impulse to kill others, but it may not necessarily manifest in actual violence. One more recognizing point of mine is that whenever I comes to you, like homeopath के पास जब आएगा, then I may complain that doctor, whenever my stomach gets disturbed, I suffer from cold, headache, asthmatic respiration, or whenever my stomach aches, it is accompanied by urging of a stool. In constipation, more I strain, more it becomes difficult to evacuate, and in the end, after prolonged effort, I could empty the stomach. In diarrhea, when I sit on commode, little amount of stool passes passively, and then tenesmus comes, because of which I strain. And on straining, it seems and that a stool is going back. It's kind of a reverse peristalsis. Usually, my complaints get aggravated due to cold air. In the morning, whenever I get coryza, it has peculiarity of its own, and that is my nose gets stuffed up at outdoors and become fluent indoors, or it were running at daytime and stuffed at night. Sometimes you will find a very peculiar symptom in me, that is patenets after erection. As a remedy, I am useful in apoplexy, in which there is a sticking pain in the paralyzed part. Sometimes I also relieve the pain of gallstone and passes it to the intestinal tract. Similarly, I may also relieve the renal stone. I may also relieve the renal stone colic. सो आई होप कि आपको ये मेडिसिन समझ में आई. मैंने यहाँ पर ज़्यादा एक्सप्लेन नहीं किया, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि यहाँ पर जो इंग्लिश लिखी हुई है वो काफ़ी सेल्फ एक्सप्लेटरी होती है. अगर आप लोग चाहते हो कि मैं एक्सप्लेन करके बताऊँ तो प्लीज़ टेल मी इन द कमेंट सेक्शन.